Hello YouTube, Goddard Radio Moscow here again with another beer review for you as is usual. For this one we are going to do my very first beer review from the Netherlands. I can't believe I've not done a Dutch beer review for you already, but I was over there recently on a trip to do a course at Leiden University and I picked up a few Dutch beers and brought them back with me. So for this one we're going to do a Trappist Dutch beer. There's two Trappist breweries in Belgium, so we're going to visit Trappisten Brouwerij, the Kievit, and have a taste of the Zundert Trappist. And this brewery is actually located, or the monastery rather, is located in the village of the same name. So as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll take you through a brief history of the brewery. This one's more about the abbey than the brewery actually, because it's a very new operation. But as is usual, if you are simply interested in the tasting of the beer, just fast forward a few minutes, you'll get right to the tasting section. The brewery website's in the video description for you below, and I'll also put a link there that will take you to my other Dutch reviews that I'm going to add, and also to the other ones that I'll do from these guys in the future, although at the moment they do only brew one beer. So anyway, this brewery is one of the newest, the two newest officially licensed Trappist breweries, and the other one that was licensed at the same time was the Spencer Brewery in Spencer, Massachusetts in America. Now these two breweries were officially recognised as Trappist breweries in 2013, and in total there are actually 10 officially recognised Trappist breweries. That's 6 in Belgium, 2 in the Netherlands, 1 in Austria and 1 in the USA as well. And the Zundert Trappist beer is brewed at the Abbey Mary Refuge in Zundert in an area known as the Muren, which apparently means the nuts. But Zundert is a small town of only 7,700 people, and it's located in the Noord-Brabant province. It's right on the border with Belgium actually, pretty much right in the middle. But the abbey finds its origins in the secularisation that occurred in France in the late 1800s, and the monks moved to Netherlands and received the land for the monastery as a gift from Anna Catharina van Dongen, and the monastery was then built by some monks from Koningshoven in 1899, and the chapel was inaugurated in May of 1900, at which time there were 12 monks. Now the name Mary Refuge was chosen because the French Trappists could actually stay there. They would have actually been evicted if it had been any other type of church other than a refuge, so this is why it is called the Mary Refuge Abbey. But 9 years later the monks actually had to leave because of the trouble at the mother monastery in Tilburg, and they found shelter in the West Mall Abbey, which you obviously will have heard of. But the Mary Refuge actually seemed doomed, but it was saved by Maria Ullens de Schuten, who financed a new building for the monastery, and in 1934 they installed their first abbot, who was Nevardus Moos, and he was succeeded by Alphonsus Limming and then Emmanuel Schurmans. So over the latter stages of the 20th century they introduced Dutch as their liturgical language. I believe they were using Latin before that, but correct me if I'm wrong on that. But they began the practices of Zen meditation as well, and in the 1990s they took in many young monks to ensure the survival of the monastery, because it was quite a kind of aging population at that time. But they stopped their intensive dairy farming in 1998 and they moved to producing organic products, and between 2001 and 2007 under Abbot Viro Fagel there was a major renovation of the building too, and there's actually now a guest house and a gatehouse that you can go and stay in there. So if you do find yourself in Zundert in Holland, go and check it out. But since 2007 the monastery has been under the leadership of Abbot Daniel Holmbergen, who is still in charge of it today. So that's a kind of brief history of the monastery for you there, but this is quite a cool one. It's quite cool to try one of the new sort of the brand new Trappist beers that's on the market, and of course they were only licensed in 2013, so there's not a lot kind of in terms of history of the brewery there, but I hope you enjoyed that kind of history of the monastery. So I'll just bring up the camera and let you have a little look at the artwork on this one. This guy of course is an 8% Trip Ale, the sort of typical Belgian sort of Trappist style of beer. Quite nicely presented there. You can see the kind of nice artwork on this one. It definitely looks like a Trappist beer in this kind of Belgian style bottle. You can see Zundert on the top label, and then you can see this sort of kind of cockerel's head or peacock head. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but the bird's head just on the bottle cap of this one here, and you can see on the bottle at the back there it's got Dutch and French in it of course, but you can see on the bottom there that that is the official Trappist symbol. You can't see it too well just because of how far away it is, but take my word for it, the official Trappist symbol is there. So let's get this guy out and get on with the tasting then. As I said to you, it's an 8% Belgian kind of Trip Ale style beer. As you can see, a nice kind of smoky opening there as we get it open. Just need to watch with these Belgian beers that the head kind of doesn't go too crazy, or these Belgian style beers I should say. This one's Dutch obviously rather than Belgian. It's actually quite a bit redder than some of the other ones that I've seen from the other Trappist beers I've seen. Quite a nice red colour on this one, definitely a kind of coppery amber if you like. So, as you can see, I'll just bring up the camera and let you have a little look at the colour. It's actually poured a really nice kind of reddish colour. Very, very attractive looking actually. Nice, there's a lot of carbonation just rushing up towards the bottom of the head there. It's got a solid kind of 2-finger, slightly off-white head. A kind of creamy colour this one, but a big bumpy head on this one. Really attractive looking beer. A lot of carbonation visible, and there is some sediment just down at the bottom of the glass. That's probably what's leading to quite a bit of the carbonation, but let's give it a smell and see how we get on here. So, it smells like your typical kind of Belgian trip ale actually. A nice kind of big, sort of bready and yeasty base on it there, and there's the sweet kind of caramel that you expect of this style just mixing in with it. There's a little bit of toasted character to it as well, maybe a kind of roasted brown sugar in there. But it's mainly a big bready yeasty character and that nice kind of sweet caramel that you usually associate with the sort of trip ale style. There's definitely some kind of dry fruit element in there as well, like dried grapes, raisins kind of thing. But very, very nice. It's almost got a little bit of candied fruit aroma to it as well. But let's give it a taste and see how we get on. So this is the one of the newest Trappist beers on the market, the Zundert Trappist from Zundert in the Netherlands. Cheers. First impression is nice and caramelly. It's a typical Belgian trip ale style actually. So you've got a lot of nice kind of sweet brown sugars in there. There's a little toasted character, but it mixes nicely with a kind of big white bready base in there. There's definitely the kind of big yeasty presence in this beer as well. You're just picking that up there. The kind of bready yeasty character just spreads itself over the back of the tongue, but you've got the nice kind of sweet caramel flavour that just goes right up the middle, and the kind of juicier fruit end of the beer is coming out right on the front. There's not really that much of a hoppy character to this one. It's mainly a kind of big malty beer. But it's quite well carbonated, that's the other thing. The carbonation is quite well done in this. A lot of kind of small bubbles just go on the attack as you take this one in. But yeah, a very sweet, kind of nice, almost juicy caramel character actually, and it's just sitting in nicely with that big kind of white bready malt base in there. Very, very well done. I really like how this one's kind of turned out. The trip ale style is probably one of my favourite beer styles actually. I really love the kind of trip ales and also the quadruples as well. Very nice beers. But yeah, it's typical of the style. It's got a really nice, I particularly like the caramel element that's in the flavour of this one. It's just got a really nice kind of bang on sweetness to it, but it's got that typical bready malt base to it, the kind of sweeter yeasty character mixing in there with the juicy kind of sweet caramel on top, and you've got a little bit of dried fruit character in there as well, maybe a little bit of raisins, not quite figs, it's not quite sharp enough for figs, it's mainly just a nice kind of raisin sort of sultana fruit that you've got in this one. But you've got a little bit of, I think there's definitely a little bit of candied fruit in this as well. It has that kind of typical flavour. It's a typical sort of Belgian trip ale style beer if you like, even though I shouldn't say that, a Belgian style trip ale because it's from the Netherlands. But it's a very nice beer, you know. It's a nice, this one's definitely a sipper because it's quite kind of thick and you've got a good bit of kind of alcohol warmth coming out in the mouthfeel. Other than that, I'd say it's quite full-bodied. The carbonation is I would probably describe it as moderate. It has quite a bit of an attack on it, but it's quite moderate in terms of the style. Very, very nicely done though, it suits it, but it's got a nice oily mouthfeel, slightly syrupy, just a tiny little bit of a kind of sweet juicy character coming from the fruit, but it also complements the kind of syrupy caramel as well, and there's just a little bit of dryness that comes out in particularly in the aftertaste, but it's got a good bit of alcohol warmth coming out, as I say. But I mean, overall it's a very, very nice trip ale beer, and it's one of my favourite styles, so I've tried quite a few of these when I've been over in the Netherlands, and I really do quite like this one. But yeah, it's definitely a nice kind of syrupy one. This is one you would want to kind of eat with like a sort of caramel biscuit or something. It's a very, very nice, very tasty beer. And it's not, none of the components of the flavour are too strong. They blend very well together, which is what I like with beers. I don't like something that's just, you know, a real kind of hop blast, if you like, or a real kind of big kind of caramel sweetness thing. I'm not so keen on that. But this one blends very, very well together in my opinion, and it's definitely worth trying. I'm not sure how widely exported this beer will be. I'm not sure if the Trappist breweries all use the same kind of distribution network, if you like, but if you do happen to find this guy, let me know in the section below. I'd be interested to hear where you can get this beer, but it's one that's definitely worth trying, and I hope you've enjoyed this beer review. Check out the Zundert Trappist beer. This is my first review from the Netherlands, so I hope you've enjoyed this one, and I will be doing a few more Dutch beer reviews for you over the next little while. But thanks for watching, and I will catch you soon with my next beer reviews. Please like, subscribe, share, and I shall catch you with the next review then. Cheers.